Welcome to the Del training series on ADA compliance. This video will provide an introduction to the considerations associated with the placement of sidewalks and shared use paths. It depicts features of the existing pedestrian network, not all of which are 100% ADA compliant. The goal of this video and every project is to work toward eliminating those non-compliant features. Sidewalks are an essential design feature of a safe and fully functional roadway. Public sidewalks and shared use paths usually run parallel to a roadway and separate pedestrians from motorized traffic. They provide an accessible pedestrian access route that is an important part of the transportation network. Sidewalks should be provided on both sides of all roadways. Providing a sidewalk on one side requires pedestrians to make additional crossings to get to where they want to go, adding travel time and increased exposure to traffic. Whatever safety benefit was intended by adding the sidewalk may not be fully realized if provided on only one side. The observance of actual pedestrian use or footpaths along a roadway are strong indicators that sidewalks or a shared use path are needed. Under state law, Del is required to consider construction of sidewalks based on project type, roadway classification, and need within urbanized locations. Delaware's requirements to construct sidewalks can be found in Title 17 of the Delaware Code. Continuity and connectivity in the sidewalk network is an important safety element. Sidewalks should offer continuous, unbroken connections for pedestrians traveling along a roadway. It should be the priority to fill the missing gaps in the sidewalk network that pose barriers to people traveling from home to school, work, and other destinations. Sidewalks on bridges should also be continuous, as they are essential to pedestrian safety. Sidewalks on bridges should match the full width of the approaching path. At locations where the structure can only support a pedestrian access route on one side, consideration should be given to widening the sidewalk provided. Additionally, when the pedestrian access routes approach a bridge along both sides of the road, but the structure only carries one sidewalk across the bridge, consideration must be given to safely crossing pedestrians to the side with the sidewalk prior to the discontinuation of the path. Pedestrian circulation paths in central business districts should be managed into 3 zones. The zones extend from the curb line to the property line. They are the buffer zone, the pedestrian access route, and the frontage zone. The buffer zone and the frontage zone are design concepts. The pedestrian access route is the only zone of the pedestrian circulation path which must meet the requirements of the Del Pass Manual from an accessibility standpoint. The pedestrian access route is the portion of the pedestrian circulation path that provides pedestrians with a safe, convenient, continuous, and unobstructed pedestrian route that connects the accessible components of a pedestrian system. It should have a firm, stable, and slip-resistant surface. The zone system can also be applied to suburban settings, as well as urban settings. In urban settings, the zone system creates space for the many necessary uses of the sidewalk corridor. Grouping like uses into zones ensures they are accommodated within the limited space available and frees the pedestrian zone of obstructions that might otherwise be a barrier to accessibility. The buffer zone is an area located between the face of the curb and the pedestrian access route and can be used to locate traffic signs, streetlights, fire hydrants, overhead and underground utilities, and street furniture where permitted. The buffer strip provides pedestrians with separation from traffic and a greater level of comfort. This area typically has a contrasting surface such as grass, or is paved in a contrasting material, color, or pattern to distinguish it from the pedestrian access route. Buffer strip widths vary based on the characteristics of an area, intended use, traffic conditions, and available space. AASHTO and the Del Pass Manual recommend widths anywhere from 2 feet to the width of the adjacent roadway's clear zone. Here we see the 3-zone system on a Rehoboth Beach sidewalk. The frontage zone is intended to provide space for shoppers to stop and look into windows. It affords space for entering and exiting adjacent buildings and storefronts. Without the zone system, the sidewalk corridor is a challenging place for anyone to navigate. Sidewalks and shared use paths can connect to the roadway shoulder, terminating the dedicated pedestrian access route at the shoulder. Pedestrians may use the shoulder in accordance with Title 21 Rules of the Road, which states, "Where a sidewalk is not available, any pedestrians walking along and upon a highway shall walk facing traffic only on a shoulder, as far as practicable from the edge of the roadway." The connection point is the end of the pedestrian accessible route where a detectable indicator marks the end of the accessible route. Work that is proposed inside of the public right-of-way which disrupts, closes, or relocates the pedestrian access route, also known as the PAR, is required to provide an alternate and adequate PAR in accordance with the Delaware MUTCD. The temporary PAR is required to maintain the usability and accessibility features of the original PAR throughout the duration of the construction work at that location. New temporary structures like boardwalks are required to meet the accessibility standards contained in DelDOT's PASS manual. Effective pedestrian work zone traffic control must consider safe pedestrian street crossings, detectability features, illumination where appropriate, and MUTCD compliant traffic control devices. Temporary pedestrian detours are to be designed in accordance with Part 6 of the MUTCD and must be approved by DelDOT Traffic Safety. Public agencies' standards and practices must ensure that the day-to-day operations keep the path of travel on pedestrian facilities open and usable for persons with disabilities throughout the year. This includes snow removal, as well as debris removal such as by sweeping, vegetation control, removal of vertical and horizontal discontinuities such as by bump grinding, and correction of any other disruptions. Only isolated or temporary interruptions in accessibility are allowed, such as pedestrian MOT through work zones. All temporary service interruptions should be planned and provide alternate routes that match the accessibility features as that of the existing pedestrian access route to the maximum extent feasible. Unplanned activities should be rare and reserved to unforeseen emergency work that must be performed immediately to ensure the safety of the traveling public. We hope this video provided you with an introduction to the considerations associated with the placement of sidewalks and shared use paths. Please consult with DelDOT's ADA Title II Coordinator for accessibility guidance on your next project.